This is my functional programming CA1 screencast. Question 1 takes in two numbers and returns a number. The function is add and double. It adds the two numbers together and doubles the answer. Here is this function working. As you can see, it adds the two numbers together and multiplies by 2 to give you the answer 12. Question 2 does the same as question 1, but it takes back ticks for add and double to do the same thing. Here's this question working. As you can see, it adds them both together, which is 9, and multiplies by 2 to get 18. Question 3 solves quadratic equations. It takes in 3 doubles and returns a tuple of doubles. From the code on the right, x1 is equal to e plus the square root of d divided by 2 times a. D is defined as b times b, which is b squared, minus 4 times a times c. E is defined as b divided by 2 times a, so it gives you the answer of the quadratic equation. Here's this code working. As you can see from the results, it gives you 2 tuples of type double. Question 4 takes the first n elements out of a list. It checks to see if the list is empty and it will return an empty list, or it checks to see if you're taking nothing out of anything and it will return an empty list. Here's this function working. It's going to take the first 5 elements out of this list that I've passed in. As you can see, it gives you the answers 1 to 5, which is the first 5 elements. Question 5 does the same as question 4, but takes type integer. It allows for larger numbers to be taken from a list. It checks to see if the number of elements you request is 0 and will return an empty list, or will return an error if you're trying to take anything from an empty list. Here's the code working on the left. As you can see, it gives me the first 5 elements of the list that I've passed in. Integer works better here because int doesn't take large number. Question 6 is called double factorial. It takes in an integer and returns an integer. The function double factorial is equal to the function factorial, which is defined here on the right. It takes an integer and returns the factorial of a number. Here's this code working. It returns the answer 120. The full function is not working because I do not understand how to do it. Question 7 should do the same as question 6. I cannot get a function, however, I keep getting errors returned. Question 8 checks to see if an integer that's passed in is prime. If the integer that's passed in is prime, it will return true. If the integer that's passed in is not prime, it returns false. Here's the code working on the left. As you can see, 11 is prime, which returns true, and 10 is not prime, it should return false, which it does. Question 9 takes a list of integers. It gives an infinite list of integers that are prime, and to use this function, use take the number you want prime. Here I'm using take 11, which will give me the first 11 prime numbers, which it does. Question 10, sum list of integers, takes in a list of integers and sums it. It has a stop condition when the list is empty. Here's the function working on the left. The sum list of integers 3, 4, 5, 6 should return 18, which it does. Question 11 does the same as question 10, except you're using fold L. It also takes in an integer list and adds up the total starting from the left and working its way to the right. Here's this function working on the left, some using fold a list of integers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 15 and 61, which gives you the answer of 107. Question 12 is product using fold OR. It takes a list of integers and gets the product of this starting from the right and multiplying it by the next value. Here on the left is shown this function working. Product using fold OR a list of integers 2, 3, 4, 5, which should give you 120. I was unable to get question 13 working. I kept getting errors, so I just left it. Question 14 finds the dot product of two vectors. This takes in two integer lists and checks to see, well, has a stop condition where both lists are empty. It takes the head of each list and multiplies them together, and then uses a recursive function to take the next element out of the list and continues until the list is empty. Here on the left shows this working. It gives you an answer of 175. Question 15 checks to see if an integer that is passed in is even. To do this, I use the mod function. N, which is the integer passed in, mod 2 is equal to 0, will return true, due to it being a Boolean equation. Otherwise it will return false. On the left you can see this function working. Is even 42 should return true. Is even 41, which should return false, which it does. Question 16 searches a string which I've passed in as a list of characters to see and remove any vowels that are present, and returns the rest of the characters. For this I use a filter, not an element of AEI over U lowercase or AEI over U uppercase. On the function on the left, which were shown in the draft, this function should search through the house and return th space hs. This function works as following. th and hs is returned. Here's this function working again. It has removed all of the vowels from the sentence and then has returned the remaining elements. The next function, question 17, is called intersection. It takes in the class type EQ and A. This function takes in two lists of A and checks to see if there are any matching elements in the two lists. If there is any matching elements in the list, it puts it into another list and returns that. Here's this function working on the left. As you can see, intersection takes in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and in one list, and in the second list 4, 5, 6. Because 4, 5, 6 is common in both, it takes them out and puts them into a separate list. The final question, question 18, is called censor. It takes in a list of characters and returns a list of characters. It checks to see if the list is empty and returns an empty list. Censor takes the head of the list, which I've defined as C, and checks it against is vowel. I've defined is vowel at the top of the text sheet, and it checks to see if the input is equal to AEI over U. If the character is equal to AEI over U, it replaces with an X. Otherwise it just takes it continues its way through the list of characters to see if any of these are vowels. Here's this function working on the left. Censor the house. It should remove the E in da and replace it with an X, the O and U out of house, the O, U and E out of house and replace them with X's. Here's this function working. As you can see, it has returned the correct answer. Goodbye.